Hello everyone. We will be starting the session in a couple of minutes. There are some more participants yet to join, so we should be starting the session in a while. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll just start in another 3 minutes.
On Wheels, the best cloud-based audit automation tool available for finance professionals like chartered accountants, tax practitioners, and accountants. With Tally on Wheels, you can reduce your audit process time by up to 90% compared to traditional way of auditing. Scrutinize the ledgers and generate analysis reports with a list of anomalies even before you start an audit. This will give you precise insight into the books of accounts so that you can plan your focus areas for the audit and save time and resources. Generate statements like revised Schedule 3 financials auto-linked with trial balance, T-format balance sheet, cost center analysis, detailed annexure of vendor-wise incomes and expenses, multi-entity consolidation, and much more in a few clicks. You can also generate and customize MIS reports effortlessly within seconds and ensure extraordinary experience for your clients. What's more, we are coming up with features like generating integrated working papers for 3CD, GSTR9 and 9C, reconciliation of tedious returns filed versus books of accounts, and much more to save your time and effort. Are you excited to get rid of these manual tasks and go further in your professional journey as techno-finance professional? Register into Tally on Wheels today. Welcome to Tally on Wheels.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session on preparing GSTR9 in a most accurate way and fastest way using Tally on Wheels. My name is C.A. Venugopal. I'm a practicing chartered accountant. I've been into the area of indirect tax, especially GST. It's implementation and automation. That's what I specialize in. And ever since the GST has come in, I have done a lot of sessions to participants on filing of returns with use of technology, integrating the ERP application to the ASP, so automating the reconciliations and reports. In today's session, we are going to see how do we file GSTR9 and 9C using Tally on Wheels. How Tally on Wheels can assist you in simplifying filing of GSTR9 and 9C. And we all as a finance professionals love Excel. So all the reports of the Tally on Wheels will be generated using Excel. That's what we are going to see. The way the session flow would happen is the basics of GSTR9 and 9C. So if someone are new in filing, we'll look into that. And extract using the Excel data extraction and how the Tally on Wheels to download the data from the government portal, reconcile, and R9 is prepared. That is what we are going to see. Start with legal provisions. I'm sure most of you or all of you are aware that every registered person, as per section 44, read with rule 80, has to file an annual return. And the composition dealers is 9A and e-commerce operators 9B, which both of them are not active yet. And it is not applicable if you are an ISD or a TDS or a casual taxable person or a non-residential taxable person. These taxpayers doesn't need to file an annual return. So who has to file is someone who is registered regularly. And though I said every person, there are threshold limits. As per the law, threshold limit is if the aggregate turnover is up to 2 crores, then you don't have a requirement to file. It's optional. And if the annual aggregate turnover is between 2 to 5 crores, 9 is mandatory, but 9C is optional. So if you want to make an attempt to file, you can do it. Once you cross 5 crores, both 9 and 9C have to be filed. Please note, the definition of aggregate turnover is to subsection 6 defined in the Act, which is PAN-based turnover. That means you are present in three states. Let's say state of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Andhra. Each of the states you are doing a turnover of 2 crores, or let's say 1.8 crores. So put together, you have done a turnover of 5.4 crores. However, each state the turnover is less than 2 crores. Still, the annual returns are applicable in all the 3 states because the aggregate turnover is exceeding 2 crores. Aggregate turnover means PAN-based turnover. Hope it's clear for everyone. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask the question, or you can put your question in the chat box. We will take up the question at the appropriate time. Let's first understand. I think this slide, according to me, is very important, though basic, but very important as to what is the context of preparing annual returns and a reconciliation statement. GSTR9, if I have to say, it is statement of fact. GSTR9 is a statement of fact. After you file your annual return, you will not have any new liability that can be paid through annual return, any refund which can be claimed through annual return, any ITC that can be availed through annual return, nor a reversal of ITC through annual return. So annual return is a statement of fact. So what you have done is what you are reporting. Let's say on turnover, you will report only the turnover on which the taxes are paid. The turnover on which the taxes are paid gets reported. But while 9C is about turnover on which tax is payable. So 9 is statement of fact. What you should do, I'll put it as. So it's a fact. When it comes to 9C, it is what should be. Otherwise saying, what you have done is 9. What you are supposed to do is your 9C, right? So the difference between both the forms, what you have done versus what you are supposed to do. That way, you will report exemption that you have availed, you will report here. But what is genuine exemptions is you will report here. Tax paid is in 9, tax payable is in 9C. Rate of tax, whatever you have adopted is what you will be giving rate of tax as per the portal. Let's say turnover you have declared correctly, but in 9, you have paid the taxes at 12%. Let's say the taxes are paid at 12%. While as per the law, what you are supposed to pay the tax is at 18%. So what is to be reported is 12%. Since you have paid, you will report 12% in 9. 18% is what you have to pay, you will report here. how much is the ITC that you have availed, which is in table 6, you will report here, but how much is available? What is that you are eligible for is what you will report here. Net ITC available, that we always say, this is what you have to reconcile 7J. But what you have to avail is eligible ITC. So the purpose of 9C is to check how much is your eligible ITC. So with this, I'm sure that you have now a better understanding in terms of distinction of what is there in 9 and what is there in 9C. Any questions to any of the participants at this point? If you have a question, please put it in the chat. By the way, is my voice clearly audible to everyone? If the voice is audible, just can you type it as yes in the chat box?
Yes, your voice is clear.
Okay, fine. Perfect. I can see two yes.
Yes.
Just that the rest of the people, I am not sure where they are, whether they are there, not there. So, especially in a virtual sessions, it's difficult to engage the audience because technology issue. Maybe the voice may go wrong at my end, or the signal may drop at your end. Anything can happen. Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Understand the form R9. Let us understand the contents of the form R9. R9 is a very beautifully drafted form where the government intends to know if you have paid the taxes, how you have paid the taxes, what you have paid the taxes for. Divided into 6 parts. Part 1, basic information. However, we don't need to worry much. What is more important is part 2 and part 3. What is more important for us to know is these 2 parts. Part 2 is about the liability. Part 3 about input tax credit. When we say liability, the both liability on account of outward supply, liability on account of reverse charge. Both have to be reported in part 2. How much is the ITC that you have availed or reversed? The net amount availed is in part 3. Part 4, ideally, after the liability and ITC, it is net taxes payable and paid. So that is what the part 4 is. With this, the form should have ideally got closed. But however, we have part 5 and part 6. The government intends to have the corrections whichever needs to be done in the subsequent forms. We all know once a form is filed, it cannot be edited. That means I cannot, if July I have reported a turnover of 1 crore, eternally July returns will show 1 crore. There is no concept of clearing that data which I have filed and revising a return that needs to be filed. There is no concept like that. So if I have made a mistake, what kind of mistake? I would have, let's say, short reported, not reported my turnover. So in GSTR1 of the subsequent month, either I'll report it in my table 9 if I have to correct something. If I have not even reported anything, I'll report it in table 4. Likewise, when it comes to 3B, if I have not paid the taxes, I will, with the interest, I'll pay it in next month. If I have excess paid the taxes, next month I will adjust it and reduce the tax liability. If I have availed the ITC extra, I will reverse it in the next month. If I have not utilized the ITC by mistake, that number was 0, I will add it in the next month. So that means some corrections I will be doing in the subsequent period. The subsequent period can be within the financial year, or it could have been spilled to another financial year, or it could have been spilled to another financial year. So if the transactions that you have made the adjustment in the same financial year, that is financial year 21-22, in the financial year 21-22, if you have made the corrections, you will report in part 2 and part 3. If you have made the corrections in the subsequent financial year, which is 22-23, you will report it in part 5. Then there is an additional information which government wants, that is captured in part 6. When it comes to 9C, again, this is yet another beautiful document, very thoughtfully drafted form. Like the context of 9C is what should have been the right values. See, if we look at if we try to understand let me just put a diagram for you. If we try to understand the taxes paid, let's say the tax paid. What do we say when we say tax paid? What does we say? We say tax paid means for a businessman or for the government, how much cash has been paid. But if I have to again put it in a mathematical or in our manner, we say the tax means it is gross liability minus ITC. This is what we are saying. And when we say gross liability, how do we translate into a number form? It can be said as turnover multiplied by rate of tax. Turnover multiplied by rate of tax. And when we say turnover, are we saying all the turnover? No, we are only talking about turnover when we say it is taxable turnover. Turnover when we are saying taxable turnover. So taxable turnover, how do I get? I will get my gross turnover less exemptions. Gross turnover less exemptions is where I will be getting my taxable turnover. Correct? Now, the government intends to know this. And when we say ITC, we are talking whether ITC is it available? If available, is it eligible? Right? So is it there in 2A? Yes, it is there in 2A. Is it eligible? These are the two things, questions which we say about ITC. The form is also designed in the same way. In the GSTR9C, you will be looking at various forms. So the first one, your part 2, table 5. You want to reconcile your gross turnover in table 5. What should be your turnover and what is the turnover that you are reporting to the portal, which is in GSTR9. 5N of GSTR9. 5N is equal to 4N minus 4G plus 5M. Pardon me for those table numbers. In fact, I would always recommend keep a GSTR9 form handy so that you get an idea of it. If it is matching, you report it in table 6 or is any difference. What we are interested in taxable turnover, we derive the taxable turnover after reducing the exemption. So we do it in table 7, and if it is matching, okay, else we give an explanation in table 8. What is more important is applying a right rate of taxes. So government wants to check whether the turnover is correct, but the rate of tax is correct or not. So you report the rate of tax of the turnover in table 9. If there is any difference, you will report the differences in table 10. Owing to the turnover and liability, if there is a liability that is arising, that liability is captured in table 11. The next thing that comes when it comes to ITC is whether it is available, whether you have recorded in the books of accounts or not, is captured in table 12 of 9C. If there is a difference, you report it in table 13. And whether or not it is eligible, you record it in table 14 with the expenditure wise, how much is the amount you have taken and how much is there in the books of accounts. Any difference owing to it is reported in table 15. Owing to input tax credit, if there is a liability that is arising, that liability is captured in table 16. Summation of table 11 and table 16 is the additional liability that you need to pay and report it through part 5 of 9C. Again, as I said, this is also very beautifully drafted form. Any questions to anyone at this point? All right. So how do we prepare this? To prepare GSTR9 and 9C, we need to have some basic information. What is there in my books of accounts? What is that I have already reported, whether by 3B and 1 month over month? What did the other parties report? This is what the primary source of information that is required for filing. Apart from that, if I have paid the taxes in the next month, I also need to have an additional data for reporting that how much of the tax I have paid next month. If I have claimed refund, how much I have claimed, how much I have applied, how much I have got, what are the notices that I have got, and are there any demands due? All this information is what I would be requiring to prepare GSTR9, because 9 is not a form that someone it is prepared. I have to prepare 9. To prepare my GSTR9, I would be needing all this information. Now, having information is one set, and getting this data at one place is another challenge. That is where we will be requiring to use a software, a tool, or a utility. And here we use this software Tally on Wheels, which is going to aid us in simplifying the whole reconciliation process. So I'll be spending next 10 minutes on the theory, and then I'll take you through how this tool works.
To do that, you'll need to be on.
Yeah. So let's look at the turnover computation and reporting in GSTR9 and 9C. Firstly, you have to freeze your turnover. Your turnover might be there in all the places. Generally, everyone looks at credit side of the P&L, but reimbursements could be debit side of the P&L. I would have netted off sale of assets. It's there in asset side balance sheet. If you have received advances for the liabilities, it is there in the current liabilities credit side. Sometimes the data is outside the financial statements also, like your schedule 1 transactions, where you are making a supply from one branch to other branch. So these situations, the data is not at all there in the financials, because financial statements will record a value only when there is a financial value. If there is no financial value, you will not find a place of it in the financial statements saying that this is a deemed a notional profit or a notional expenditure which you want to record. Neither of it will be there in the financial statements. So the information for your GSTR9 can be there in all the places. Now, the way one has to work is from the PAN-based financials, segregate into each of the GSTN. Segregate if you are present in 3 states, the audited signed financials split into 3 states. Once you split into 3 states, for each state value, you make the adjustments, because AS9 revenue recognition is different from section 12 and 13 of the GST Act, which is a different number. So you make the segregations and derive at what should be the turnover from the GST. So you are starting with the turnover which is as per the PAN to the turnover what should be after all the adjustments, what should be the turnover for the purpose of GST, what should be the turnover is what you are trying to derive. So there are adjustments upward, adjustments downward. You'll be making all these adjustments. Now, after you derive the turnover, there are multiple reconciliations. You need to keep it ready. You need to prepare. First, whether did I disclose this in my R1? Have I paid the taxes in 3B or not? How much of it is interstate, intrastate? How much is IGST and how much is C plus S? How much is it 5%, 12%, 13%? You have to segregate. How much of it is exports or B2B, B2C, all those segregations that you need to do. So all these parallelly multiple reconciliations needs to be done in your GSTR1 turnover related data. So the same values I am segregating and putting it in rate wise. And the question that comes is, after reconciling, I might find something is incorrect, then amend it, something is missing, then add it in the GSTR1. When it comes to the taxes, if you have not paid, short paid or excess paid, you adjust that in your GSTR3. Till when I can do these adjustments? These adjustments can be done till 30th November. The errors have to be done. These corrections can be done till 30th November. What happens if I cross 30th November? Then the difference has to be paid through a challan called DRC03. I have to pay it through a challan called DRC03. How do I report it? The reporting is into 2 ways. Table 4, where the transactions which has taxable value, where there is a tax liability. Table 5, where the transactions do not have tax liability. You will be reporting into these two tables. Now, when I say table 4, it is further segregated into 4A B2C, 4B B2B, 4C exports with pay, 4D SEZ with pay, 4E deemed exports. Then 4F on the advances received. So it can be a negative value also. Previous year I received the advance, this year I am offsetting it. So it's a net advances. 4G is inward supplies on which reverse charge is payable. Then 4I is the credit notes, 4J is debit note. So you may call this reporting. Table 5 is exempt supply. Exempt means I am not literally saying exempt, it is transactions on which tax is not payable will be reported in this table. So my total turnover, as I said earlier, it will be 5N. 5N means 4N minus 4G plus 5M. A summation of these two will give me what is my turnover for the purpose of GST, which I am reporting. Now, please note again, I will not report a turnover if the taxes are not paid. You will be reporting the turnover only if the taxes are paid, then only you will be reporting in GSTR9. If the tax is not paid and you intend not to make the payment of tax, so the government also gives you some leeway and some amount of time. If the taxes are paid within the same period, then you can report it in the through table 10. If you missed out making the payment of taxes, then you will be paying it through DRC 03. Okay. Also, you have to cross check with the values that you have already reported in tax audit report, IT return, bank statement, 26AS, all these values you have to make sure you cross verify before you finalize it. When it comes to ITC, okay, before I go to ITC, any questions to the participants on the turnover related reporting? If there is no question, maybe you can put it as no questions in the chat. So far, it is clear. Okay, one response, Jaishankar says no questions. Sanjeev Agrawal, very good. We are on the same page. Sanjeev, yes, I got you. So this is the only way where we can identify that the participants are getting, because sometimes the people will be on YouTube watching, so it's easy to check. Okay, ITC reporting. The input tax credit should be reported in the three tables, table 6, 7, and 8. 6 is ITC event, 7 is reversed, 8 is the reconciliation. Okay, we have a couple of minutes. Then in 9C, we report it in table 12 and table 14. Now, how do I freeze my ITC? So I have to analyze all the expenditure in my books of accounts and see how much of the expenditure is with GST and how much is without GST. If it is there with GST, is it eligible or is it ineligible? This I need to verify it. If some vouchers I have no GST, I have to see why are these vouchers do not have GST, whether it is an exempt supply or whether it is a reverse charge liability. This is something which one has to take a call. And that is where again tally on wheels comes to a rescue in extracting the data from the tally and presenting it for us in this manner. And we all know when we say ITC eligible is as per 17 subsection 1 and 2, only towards taxable and zero rated supply, the ITC is eligible. For the balance, it is not eligible. If you miss out to take the credit, you can take up until 30th November. Earlier, it was there as due date of September, but this has been corrected and you can take the credit up until 30th November. So what do we do as a reconciliation every month? We do a reconciliation of GSTR3B credits vis-a-vis the credits that are appearing in my 2A or 2B. So how do I verify that? How do I check? I use some tools to check that. And what the outcome of it could be my credits are matching both in 3B and 2A or 2B, the credits might be matching. Or there are credits which are there only in your books of accounts, that is only in your GSTR 3B and not there in the portal, that is not there in 2A. Or it could be there are credits that exist in 2A and you have not availed, you didn't even know a credit like this is appearing in your books of accounts. So this would be three different scenarios that would be arising out of the reconciliation. Now, what is that you should do is when it is matching, no action, but when it is not matching, 36 sub rule 4 comes to a rescue, where you had a 5% leeway to take additionally. This was there up until 1st January 2000. This year. From this year onwards, Jan 22, it is mandatory. Only if it is visible, you can take the credit. The reversals could be on account of ineligible or Rule 37 non-paying to the vendor or common credits. Ineligible, 17 subsection 5 gives list of ineligible credits. We have to ensure that none of the credits that have been availed have these credits. The way you have to do is you have to do a reconciliation like BRS. I made a purchase. It's just that I did not record it in this month, I recorded in the next month. Let's say instead of March, I recorded in April. So how much is there in the books of accounts? How much has been availed next year? How much has been reversed next year? How much is the net credit that I have availed? I need to do a small reconciliation. After the ITC reverse charge liability, this plays a very important role in GST. Why reverse charge liability is an important thing? Though it is a revenue neutral, that means I pay the liability in the month 1 and claim it as a credit in the month 1. But if you miss out making the payment of the taxes, then you will end up after the due date, which is 30th November. If you make the payment of taxes, you will only have the liability to pay, but there is no ITC that you can avail. So 9.3 and 9.4 of that deals with this. Of course, 9.4 is only works contract. 9.3 is the notified services. There is list of notified services. This list is going up time to time. What you are seeing in the blue color is most commonly applicable to most of it. It doesn't mean that items in white color are not applicable, but yes, generally 9.3 means people only know GTA and DL. There's a sponsorship service. Like let's say this event is happening. So someone sponsors saying that okay, whatever is the license cost, display cost, whatever be the cost for this event I am sponsoring. So these kind of sponsorship services, people forget making any GST. Like me as a recipient of money or provider of the sponsorship services, I'm not going to charge GST because you are reimbursing some costs which I am incurring. In your books of accounts, you might have been treating it as advertisement, sponsorship, donation. So again, it is a very thin line of difference between these three. So you got to be careful. Again, registration fees that is paid to the government, director service, security service, and renting of motor vehicles. These are under reverse charge. The recent addition is renting of residential dwellings, immobile property to a registered person. 9.3 goods, mostly not applicable, but new. So how do I report and reconcile? Reporting of liability is there in 4G of GSTR9, ITC is there in table 6C and 6D. Purchases made from an unregistered person is 6C, purchases made from registered person is 6D. What are the tests that you need to do? You need to ensure the liability is more than the credit. That means credit should be less than or equal to the liability paid. Likewise, the 2A, the purchase, the ITC from the registered person, which is reported in 6D, the value which is there in my 6D should be higher than whatever the value which is already reported in the government portal. So these are the basic checks one has to do. Then there are certain adjustments that we need to do in GSTR9. What is the adjustment? Is the payment of the taxes. If you are making the payment of tax in the same year, it reports in table 4. If you are making the payment of taxes in the next year, payment of taxes means it could be paid through 3B or DRC03. If you are paying through 3B, report it under 11. If you are paying it through DRC03, report it under table 4. Please make a note of this important reporting requirement. So ideally, my 3B value should be GSTR1 and 9. But for some reasons, sometimes there will be a difference. There will be a difference. So the difference is if you pay in the next year, you report it in your table 10. But you didn't even realize. Today you are realizing, which is after 30th November. You are realizing it after 30th November and you are making the payment. The payment can only be paid through DRC03. Such payment which is done in DRC03 reported in table 14 of the GSTR9, table 4 of GSTR9 for DRC03, table 11 for 3B subsequent payment. If you have adjusted subsequently, it is 11. If you have excess paid, it is 10. So in terms, how do I compute and freeze the turnover? Table 4, 10 and 11 taxable, 5 is exempt. My total turnover will be 4 plus 10 minus 11. My total turnover will be 4 plus 10 minus 11. And my liability will be computed both in table 9 and table 14. Taxes paid is also reported both in table 9 and table 14. So these are the various reporting information of GSTR 9. Any questions, any doubts to anyone at this point? All right. So what you have to do is proper segregation of data, ITC claim, and other verification. So let us now see how we can prepare GSTR9 using Tally on Wheels. Tally on Wheels is a cloud application. Let me Tally on Wheels is a cloud application using which you prepare GSTR9. In fact, this is an audit software. I recommend everyone who is into audit, stat audit, internal audit, especially those who are doing statutory audit, internal audit, should have this tool. It will help to simplify a lot of works. This has various modules. This has various modules. You can see, you can prepare an audit analysis sheet. You can prepare Schedule 3 financials and annexures to it. You can prepare GSTR9. You can prepare tax audit related reports and other information that are there. Other information that are there. So how does this work? How does this work? Let's say, how do you normally work? If we look at it, we create the data of Tally. Let me go to Tally and we create in some folders, right? We create in some folders. So in Tally on Wheels, we call this as entity. It could be a group. In Tally on Wheels, we create this as a entity. Let me just go to the Tally on Wheels. So I'll create an entity. I'll say Tally on Wheels demo 8 December. So this is an entity which I am now creating. Tally on Wheels demo 8 December. So I will have so many entities. So one of the entities Tally on Wheels demo 8 December. And the way this works is you select the entity, add a company. You add a company. Okay, so when you're doing the first time, you need to have an agent. I've just removed this agent so that we understand. So let me download this agent. So this is a one-time requirement. You need to have a small agent which will be downloaded and it will be installed on your system, which will do this analysis of the data where the data that is required for the purpose of the audit. And let me also open the tally data. So let me install. First time when you are installing, you will ask it is protected. In the click on more information and say run anyway. So that's a one-time job one has to do it. And let's open the tally data. So I am opening some demo data. So here in my tally on wheels, once the agent is installed, it says add your tally company. I'll say add my tally company. It has automatically detected what is the tally company that is there. It has automatically detected. So I'm saying add the company. So I want to get the information for 21-22. I can just press 21-22 information and analyze. In a few minutes, the data will be analyzed. But I am more interested in preparing GSTR9 and 9C. So what I will do is I can directly jump. I will select this tally on wheels data and I will say GSTR9 and 9C preparation. I can jump and go to GSTR9 and 9C preparation. So what are the steps or what are the procedures? If you see, we have already discussed for filing my GSTR9, I need various set of information. I need data from the government portal, which is 3B, 2A, GSTR1. I also need from books of accounts. So all this primary information and secondary information, all this primary information and secondary information is what this portal is going to fetch. I'm saying log into the government portal using OTP. So getting any data from the government portal, the right way of getting is only through OTP. So I will enter the username and I'll say confirm to the GST portal. Let me get the OTP. So just everything is. So here is the OTP that I have received. Let me enter the OTP. Now I've logged in. So I just select one button. I want GSTR9, GSTR1, 2A, 3B, all the information. I am pressing a button, download from the government data. In a normal course, if you want to download anything from the government portal, it will take 15 minutes for each month. So 12 clicks of GSTR1, 12 clicks of 3B, 12 clicks of 2A or 2B. Then again, consolidate. You need to be master in Excel using some Power Queries to consolidate multiple Excel files into a single Excel file. So all this is actually very seamlessly, you can see something is coming like October, November, December. It is just seamlessly downloading the data and it is saying that it is getting the downloaded. So as it is downloading, let me also show you what else this can do. Why I recommend, it also prepares the financial statements. Your financial statements are automatically prepared, which is Schedule 3 related financial statements. This prepares the financial statements. It also prepares your analysis report. So data has been uploaded, so it is processing the data. it will prepare the analysis report. So we will be able to see the analysis reports also. I'll show even those reports. Yeah, now the data access is successfully uploaded. Now, let us do a matching of 2A versus right now, currently it is only doing a reconciliation of books data with the portal data of the purchases because that is more important. So I can upload purchase register from my books of accounts. It's not that I have to upload an Excel. I can just press the button. There is already tally data is there. Use this company and use the existing ledgers which are already there. So import the data for the year 21-22 is already selected. I'll just press this button called import vouchers. So this will backend automatically import the data from the books of accounts. It is going to import the data from books of accounts automatically. And after doing the import of data from the books of accounts, it is going to automatically, it is going to prepare the information which is required for the purpose of GSTR9 and 9C. So let's see. And as I said, we will also see the other reports that it will prepare. So first and foremost is analytics report. Yeah, there is an analysis report that it will prepare and also a schedule 3 financials. It is going to prepare a balance sheet, P&L and the ratio. In fact, this year the ratio analysis has become mandatory. So it is also preparing all those information. Generally, it will take up to 3 minutes. Basis the size of the data, it will take up to 3 minutes. And I have the tally data. Let me just go to the tally data. So here is the tally data which we are analyzing. It has around 51,000 entries. It has around 51,000 entries. So it is making analysis of all these entries. 51,000 entries is reasonably a larger size. So it has downloaded all the things. Let me confirm and save those entries. Here is the Excel the portal has given. Let's see what it has given. It is saying that as per the purchase register, these are your expenditures. You can see it is giving me supplier name, supplier GST and expense category, all these things in one go, which otherwise this report is not available in Tally. No software can give you this report. Against the supplier, what is the expenditure category the supplier is in, that you don't get it. So that's the beauty of this tool. You get everything in one go. Not just that. It also does an expense reconciliation. What does that mean? If I scroll down and let me just expand this. Yeah. So if you see this here, the taxable amount of the purchases is this, and the whatever which is there in the P&L trial balance amount is this difference where there is no GST. Let's say the salary paid ledger has staff expenditure. So let's just go to the staff expenditure. So P&L, you see staff expenses. There are these two ledgers. I have made purchases, but not even a single expenditure has GST. So it is also indicating that how much of the vouchers are with GST and without GST. So Lavin is asking, can it merge two branch tally company to prepare financial statements? Absolutely. It is like you upload 10 tally data, so you will get one schedule 3 financial statements. It does all those things. That's not at all a challenge. Now, what am I more important is preparing GSTR9, right? So let me continue preparing GST9. In case even if some GST numbers are error, it is going to show these are the vouchers where are error. Now, one important step you have to do is run GSTR9 matcher. This is going to do all these steps for you. Again, why it is request to run the GSTR9 matcher, allow it to do it for a minute. Sometimes depends on the data size, the time may take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but allow it to complete the matching. Once the matching is complete, you have to simply click this one beautiful button called download GSTR9 2021-22. Download GSTR9 2021-22. Now, let's download and see what does this do. I hit this button, download. Yeah, so the file is downloaded. Let's open the file. Let's see what are all the information is there. You can see all the information. You can see all the information that is required. You can see all the information that is required for preparing GSTR 9 and 9C. Preparing GSTR 9 and 9C. This GSTR 9 and 9C, I am not going to say it is automatically preparing 100% accurate. You might still have to do some work. You might still have to do some work, but it has given you a sufficient information, sufficient data to take care, right? So what did it give? It gave me GST returns data. It has reconciled with, so it has downloaded some data from the government portal and it has reconciled with the books of accounts, prepared GSTR9 related information. And again, the another beauty of it, you can just click a button here, you are in that sheet, and once you are done, you can just click a home, you will back into this sheet. So the navigation is also made beautiful, seamless. What all it has? It has made GSTR1 summary for the full year. Then GSTR3B summary for full year. Okay. Then it has GSTR1 month over month. So April, May, June, July, month over month, how much GSTR1 is there? That is given here. Then GSTR3B month over month information is given. GSTR1 by filing period. This is very important thing. There could be a situations where you have short reported, wrong reported. Like if you see here, in the month of July, my turnover is 89 lakhs, while I reported only 44 in July, 39 in August, and 4 lakhs in September. So it is some typo errors, right? So the interest is applicable to this. So this utility is going to help me if the interest is payable. How do I compute the interest? Let's go back to the next report, GSTR2A and 3B. It is also saying me that you have taken 1,81,000 while it was only 2,06,000. In this case, I have taken 146 while there was only 95. So I have excess taken, excess availed, short availed, all those information. It is also giving me a report. You know, all this, just a click of a button. All that I have done is I just pressed a button. This information has come automatically into this. You have uploaded your purchase register. GSTR2A by vendor is going to say what is the data is there in the books of accounts and what is the data which is there in the government portal, which is your 2A or 2B. If there is any difference, how much is the difference and which vendor is the difference. You can just, this being an Excel file, you can just insert a simple pivot and can easily take further analysis. In fact, we are masters in using pivots, lookups, and everything. All right. So there are various other reports. Next, HSN summary. You need for table 17 of GSTR1, you need to give HSN summary. So this tool has consolidated all the 12 months HSN that I have reported It has consolidated and automatically given me what is the HSN summary that you should report. So it is simplifying all the job. Likewise, very important is my 2A versus 8A. Most of us doesn't even know how do I report values in my table 8 of GSTR9. So it is also going to give me all the line items that are there in my GSTR 8A, reconciling with GSTR 2A, reconciling with 2A, 8A of GSTR 9 with GSTR 2A. Both are reconciled. Let's see the overview. Taxable amount. So you can see in 2A there is 4,29,000 taxable amount. And IGST, CGST, whether it is matching, not matching, there is something called ineligible. So it is doing all sorts of these reconciliations and saying that, okay, yes, this is matching. So which means this is a data good to go. This is one set of information. In fact, with this, you can actually yourself prepare 9 because all the data relevant for GSTR9 has been extended. But on top of it, this is also going to prepare GSTR9 a working file. This is going to prepare how GSTR9 should be, what are the values that has to come. In fact, let me go to my turnover computation. So I will start with whatever is my turnover, which is there in trial balance. Let's say there is a trial balance here. There is a trial balance here. The trial balance also is downloaded. You know, all the sheets which you are seeing, this is a live sheet. It's like in front of you. I have uploaded the tally data. I have uploaded the books of accounts and the government portal. So we all know they say either it could be sales or indirect income. Now this is my turnover, right? So I can always say, okay, this is my turnover, which is in my turnover computation. My turnover is 7.94 lakhs. If you noticed, what did I say? How do we freeze our turnover? We, from the books turnover, we segregate into GST wise. So that is what this is also doing. If you have multiple GST, enter the multiple GST. Once this is done, what is the next step for us was reconciling, preparing books turnover to GST turnover. So again, this is asking you want to make any adjustments, you make the adjustments. Then segregating with payment, without payment. So let's say around 35 lakhs is without a payment of taxes. So if 35 lakhs is without payment of tax, balance it automatically adjusted. You can now say at the rate of 5%, 1%, whatever be the turnover. So this is this. You can automatically set the turnover. So the turnover rate wise, and let's say IGST some 250. You can make these segregations between the IGST, CGST, all those adjustments that whatever happens, you can actually make this reconciliation and can keep it. Let's say my this turnover. So with this, your data is automatically reconciled. How much taxes you are supposed to pay, how much you have paid, if you have short paid, if you have to adjust in the next year 3B, all these adjustments are prepared. Likewise, it also prepares input tax credit related. It also prepares input tax credit related. So it is saying how much is the ITC as per the portal that has come. So it is segregating between various categories and trying to do a reconciliation with my GSTR 2A and the 3B. And my GSTR9 entire working file is automatically prepared. So once you do the data entry here, it's easy for you to keep this as your working file. Because when the GST audit comes, 17-18 audit is happening now, like 5 years later, the audit is called. How do you justify your workings? That is why all your workings are there at a single place, right? So this is how one prepares the GSTR9 using tally on wheels. And I'm sure you got a glimpse of how GSTR9 and 9C to be prepared and how tally on wheels application can be used in preparing this. So if you would like to know more information on tally on wheels, you can always reach to the support number 8088803561 or write to support@tallyonwheels.com. So Harsha will be coordinating. There is a question on the data security. Again, this is a HTTPS hosted with AWS, and AWS is considered as a more secured environment. That's what I would say. Any questions on GSTR9 and 9C preparation? If you have any further questions, feel free to write to me, venu@vnv.ca, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Can I get invoice-wise data from GSTR1 portal? Yes, Sanjit ji, let me just show you that Excel file. Yeah, this was the Excel file. So there is, you can let me zoom it. There's something called GSTR1 by customer. You can get all your the customer level information. So the invoices that have been raised for your customers for each of the month, you are getting the information. Even this is available. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, so to your registered email ID, we'll share you a copy of the presentation and today's session link for you to reach us back for any further doubts. Yeah. With this, we can now conclude the session unless you have some questions that you would like to ask. Thank you, Jay Shankar. Happy to note, and we'll get in touch. Yeah, thank you, Renuka. All right.